Hey guys, how are you? Today I wanted to talk about my 10-year anniversary with living with type 1 diabetes. And I wanted to share my story because somebody might newly be diagnosed, somebody might be living with type 1 diabetes just as long as me or even longer. And I'm here to stand with my type 1 brothers and sisters in solidarity, let you know that we got this, that you are not alone. And hey, I'm here 10 years later and I just want to share. So let's get started. And I wanted to give you a personal look at what it looks like to live with type 1 diabetes. So let's start with the moment that changed everything, how I found out I had diabetes. I was diagnosed between the window of January 2015 and March. Right before January 2015, for months, I have been having different kind of symptoms, having to pee 3 or 4 times an hour. My eyes were blurry, like literally just blurry, out of nowhere. I was sleeping all the time, just tired. When I came home from work, I would just have to lay down. And I was thirsty, like, oh my God, I had to dry my, I just had to continue drinking. So I looked up those symptoms and diabetes came up. And I'm like, what? So when January came, my birthday is in January. I have my physical every year. I went to get my physical and I asked the doctor, can you please test me for diabetes? Because that's what the internet said I had. So she tested me, everything came back, every other thing came back within range. Everything else came back in range. But that glucose number, it was in the 300s. Now, a normal blood glucose when you wake up should be between 70 and 120. Mine was in the 300s. She was like, this might be a fluke because your numbers are, everything else going on with you is in range, but this glucose is very high. So we'll just test it again. So she came back, tested it again the next day or the next morning, and it was still in the 300s. So then she was like, oh, I think you have diabetes. And she gave me metformin. It is a pill. I started taking it. My stomach was hurting. Just wasn't feeling well. Came back again to retest me a couple of days later, still in the 300s. So then she taught me how to inject myself with insulin all the time, saying that I have type 2. And that was something else. So she taught me how to inject myself. I injected myself for a couple of weeks, still high. So they did a test for your C-peptide, which is the marker between type 1 and type 2. Come to find out, I had type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is a different disease. They have the same symptoms. They have the same unfortunate things that can happen to you if you don't take care of yourself. But the diseases are two different diseases, which means they are treated differently, meaning how we treat ourselves, how we have to live. And so once I was diagnosed with type 1, off to an endocrinologist I go. And so that was the beginning of a new reality for me. When I was told that I had type 1, I went into research mode, trying to learn everything that I can about the disease, trying to heal myself, not eating because I didn't want to take insulin. So I lost a lot of weight, but it wasn't that good looking weight. We're like, girl, you lost weight. I see you. No, it was like, you lost weight? Are you okay? So I had to start back eating, but I was just trying, reading everything, trying to heal myself. Like, no. And went into depression, God, why me? Why me? For a few months. And I also didn't tell anybody for a few months. I told like my inner circle, of course, my mom, my grandmother, my best friend, and maybe 3 to 4 other friends. But I didn't tell like the world. And I say the world because I was a influencer at the time, a blogger where I was on social media sharing life doing this, but I didn't share that. And I wasn't ready. It took me 3 years to share that I had type 1 diabetes with, the social network. When the doctor told me the news, I really don't remember how I processed it, but I know that I had to keep living. I had 3 children at the time. At the time, my son was probably 9, 7, and 2. Today, my kids are 19, 17, and just turned 12. And, I still wanted to live for them. When you feel like you get this, and then you find out that it's no cure. I think that was the hardest thing, that they said is no cure. But the doctor told me that I can still have a great life, a fulfilling life. You can still do all the things. You just have to now take insulin 4 times a day. Prick your finger, check your blood, watch what you eat. Not necessarily watch what you eat, because I felt I was eating healthy and I always exercise. But type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease where the beta cells in your pancreas that produces your insulin doesn't work anymore in our pancreas. And why it's a disease that they say once you get type 1 you'll have it forever, because once the beta cells die, which are the cells that actually make your insulin, once they die, they don't come back. So if you don't have cells that make insulin that controls your blood glucose level, then you have to inject yourself with insulin. So no matter what I eat, good or bad, if it's going to raise my blood sugar, I'm going to have to take insulin for it. Where type 2, if you work out, exercise and eat healthy, you can heal yourself of type 2. You cannot be a diabetic anymore. But no matter if I work out, exercise, do all the things, if I eat something that's going to raise my blood sugar, I need to take my insulin. So that's why type 1s, they are on the and why it's called a autoimmune disease is because your body turns on itself. Something happened in my body that turned on my pancreas and was like, you are the enemy, fighting the pancreas and killing those beta cells. There are many different reasons why people get type 1, and I don't know what caused it. I don't know what was going on in my life that triggered it. My husband thinks it was stress. And it could be. I had a 2-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, was working a new job, trying to buy a house, just the stresses of life. But the honest to God reason, I really don't know how I got type 1. I did have gestational diabetes with my first and my third. And they say when you have gestational diabetes, that is a precursor to you getting type 2 down the line. Not saying that you will get it, but you are more apt to get it if you have gestational diabetes, but not type 1. So I don't know where that came from. My dad had type 2. His dad had type 2. And again, I don't know where type 1 came from. I really don't know. The biggest adjustments that I've had to make over the last 10 years, because you have to know, I was 38 years old when I was diagnosed. So I was a full grown woman, fully married for years, 3 kids, thriving. And now the light switch is turned, or my lifestyle is turned. So the biggest things that I had to learn to do was basically, at the time, prick my finger. I had to prick my finger every time before I ate to see what I was, so I could know how much medicine. My fingers had gotten numb. Oh my God, my fingers had gotten numb. And I'm like, I'm only 38. Am I gonna have to do this forever? Checking my blood, period. Giving myself medicine. Feeling the feelings of when you go high, how you get sleepy. When you go low, you feel like you're going to faint and pass out. Learning the different feelings of how is my body moving. Learning how food affects my body. Every minute. When you live with type 1, it's not like, oh, I'll get to that, or I'll worry about that later. No, type 1 lives with you. So there was just a lifestyle change of how am I always feeling and doing. Just the daily monitoring. The emotional impact is huge, because when I was first diagnosed, I didn't have a CGM. I wear a CGM now, which is a continuous glucose monitor, which monitors my blood sugar, and it has an alarm. Girl, they got high-tech technology now. But I didn't have that then. It was just me pricking my finger. So I know if you go low and go too low, and you don't get something in your system to raise your blood sugar up. And when I say go low, I'm saying your blood drops to a very low state. When that happens, you could die, because you get so weak that you cannot even move, and you could pass out and you could die. So when you start to feel yourself going low, you need to have the energy first, try to run and get you some orange juice, run and get you something that's going to spike you. But sometimes you get so low that you cannot move. The only thing you can do is say, help me, please. So when I first was diagnosed, I told my husband, please check on me at night. Please check on me through the night. Because if I get so low, some people die in their sleep. Because they get so low, they can't move and they can pass away. So I would tell my husband, and please check on me. Please check on me. Please check on me. And there was a moment of time during depression where I felt I wasn't sexy anymore for my husband. I felt my husband wouldn't love me, because now I have this disease that has changed, but he's been my number one supporter the entire time. And he put that to rest about me not being sexy, about him not loving me. He is my number one supporter, and he shows me with his actions, not just his words. Family and friends. Now, I told some friends about it in the beginning, like my core circle at that time. And one thing that, and I told them because they were my core. And 10 years later, the people that are my core that actually talk to me about my diabetes are my husband, my grandmother, my mother, and my best friend. 4 people. Of course, my kids, but you don't count the kids, those are your kids. But those are the 4 people. The other unit that I told, maybe the 5 or 6 people, they are still in my life. We are still friends. But they have not asked me about my diabetes in 10 years. Maybe once or twice, and I am not exaggerating. Maybe we're like, how are you doing? And once or twice. In the beginning it hurt because when I first told them, I'm like, I chose you to tell you. And then a year later, I brought it up like, y'all ain't said how you doing, nothing. And one person's response was, well, you look good. Yeah, I do look good because I exercise and I do things, but I have something going on inside of me. It's like I'm wearing a mask. People that type 1 diabetes, they're wearing a mask because behind this, it's like it's a mental disease as well. And depression is high. And we're dealing with so much. And we're not bringing it to the forefront. So that little bit of how are you doing? Yeah, maybe you can't help, but just check, how are you doing? How are you feeling? So we can express some kind of emotional release will really help. And nobody did it. And after a while, maybe after 2 years, and I realized those core people really wasn't asking or checking like that, then I let it release it. And like I say, 10 years later, my mom, my husband, my granny, and my best friend are the ones that we still talk about it. They still check on me, and I'm grateful for that core for. Some of the hardest moments over the past 10 years have just been trying to manage my A1C. I think that's been the hardest thing. And I'm going to be very honest with you. My goal has to be in single digits, and I might have been in single digits once or twice in 10 years. And that is what I continue to work on. And like, this is my year. I actually, my last A1C, when I went to the doctor was single digits. But I want to get even lower. I want to go 2 points lower. What was my problem? I had an issue with pre-bolusing. And what that means is giving myself medicine before I eat. And when I give myself medicine before I eat, it will keep me from going high. If you have a whole bunch of high blood sugars, it's going to mean your A1C, which is the marker that we have to get checked every 3 months to see where we are in our diabetes journey. So if you always high, you're going to have a high A1C, which means you are not managing your diabetes well. And I would not give myself medicine before I ate because my food be looking so good, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. And I would give myself my medicine after, and by then I'm already high. So I'm chasing the highs to bring it down versus preventing the highs on the front end. That has been my problem, but I am now working on it, okay? Even my husband, he's on it. When I'm fixing my plate, he's like, take your medicine right now. Take your medicine. Because everything, thank you, Jesus, everything for the most part has been good with me health-wise over the last 10 years. And I'm so grateful. And I want to keep it that way. But I do need to do want to get my A1C down. And so I'm working on it. And that's all I'm saying. I'm working on it. Every day we have another opportunity to get it right. Another thing that's been frustrating is I have had so many endocrinologists over the years because these people quit and they leave, and they don't quit me, but they quit their office. Like, I had one that I really loved. Well, my first one I really loved, but we moved to Atlanta. I was diagnosed in 2015. We moved to Tampa in 2016. So since then, I've had, so I've had about 6 endos, and I've been in Tampa now. This year would be 9 years, and I've had 6 because I never left none of them. They left me because, well, I left one. I did leave one. I left one because, and it was a man too. I left him because he was disrespectful in the office. My dad had just died, and I came in. Of course, my A1C was high. And in the midst of me telling him, like, I literally just came back from burying my father and this is what happened, he cut me off. He was like, okay. And I was like, I'm your patient. We've been getting along good. I'm telling you my dad died and why I think something, and you cut me off. And at the end of him talking, it was time for me to go. He was like, oh yeah, sorry about your father. And I didn't like that. And I left him. But anyway, the other ones, like, one went on maternity, two went on maternity leave and never came back. One left the practice, and they all had different reasons of leaving. They just like left their practice. So I had to get another one. And so, yeah. So because of that, it's really hard to develop a relationship with the endocrinologist long term because they got their own personal goals and you don't know how long they're going to be around. And yeah. And then different endocrinologists believe different things. So when you do get to know one, some tell you the same things, but some tell you different. You don't know who to listen to. And I found through my own research of how, to lower your blood sugar and just live a good life with type 1 diabetes, that when I go into the endos, doesn't always match. And that's through these guys called Mastering Diabetes. They both have type 1 diabetes, and they've unlocked, instead of always talking about high carbs, they say you need to eat a low fat diet and plant-based, because actually when you eat a lot of fat, when the fat comes in, it actually blocks what the carbs need to do, which makes when you eat carbs even higher. So when you eat high fat and you eat those carbs, it's going to make your blood go up higher. So when you eat low fat to no fat, you can eat some carbs. You can eat the fruit. Now, you shouldn't eat a lot of processed stuff anyway, but you can eat that and you won't experience those hikes. Just check out Mastering Diabetes. These guys are amazing. More struggles have been insurance, getting things paid for. Well, more struggles have been like insurance, because you have diabetes, so you're always going to need insulin. And then if, sometimes insurance is high and I went to Walmart where I get my stuff and they rank up my insulin and it was $500. I have needed to get sensors and it's $300. And I'm sitting there like, do y'all have a manufacturer's coupon? Because, I need this to live. So sometimes you have to pay. So those have been struggles. And just dealing with, like, I wear a CGM now. This is my CGM, Freestyle Libre 3 Plus. I change it every 2 weeks. This tells me my blood sugar. I have an app on my phone that I can see where I'm at. This app you can share with your friends so my husband can have it on his phone, etc., etc. At one point, I was wearing an Omnipod, which is an insulin pump that shoots me insulin. And one struggle I had was it left marks. And when you are Black, you scar sometimes. And so I had to change that every 3 days. And my stomach looked like a polka dot, looked like a connected dots. And I'm like, oh my God, am I going to have to go through this? Or am I going to be scarred up forever? And unfortunately, I had to stop wearing that, not because of the scarring, but because of my insurance. I went from getting it from free to over having to pay $1,000. So now I inject myself with pens. But yeah, so that was a frustration, my skin scarring. And even with this, I change it every 2 weeks. I've been wearing a CGM for going on 5 years. I got a little bit of scarring, like with little holes around my arm, and I change arms every time. But again, what are you gonna do? I want to live. I want to make sure I'm checking my blood, so I gotta wear it. Okay, so I'll tell you a breakthrough moment. Like I said, I didn't tell my social media community that I had diabetes for about 3 years, and I just had an aha moment and was like, you know what, I am living with this disease. I want to live a long life. I can't continue to hide it. It is what it is. And when I was wearing the Omnipod at the time, I would wear it up here, just hide it. And I'm like, I'm not hiding no more. Even a sensor, I wear a tank top in a minute. I just had the aha, like, I'm here. I got these kids. That's the only thing important. Me to see my kids grow up and flourish. And so I shared it. And since then, it's just been a release. Like, I'm not hiding that I have type 1. I don't care if I used to go hide giving myself blood. I don't prick my finger anymore too because of the CGM. I don't prick my finger. So, but if I need to give myself insulin at a restaurant, I'm going to pull up my arm and I'm going to give myself insulin. If I need to put it in my stomach, if I'm at the table with you or with the girls' night and I need to give myself insulin before I eat, give myself insulin, and I'm back to the conversation. Nobody says nothing. Nobody has never seemed to be offended. People at other tables, I'm not even paying attention if they're looking or not. Why? Because I got to do this to live, and I'm moving on. So that was a breakthrough. Like, hey, this is my life. It is what it is. It was a blessing too, because once I shared, I ended up becoming a Freestyle Libre ambassador for about 2.5 years. And that was a really cool experience. They sent me free sensors that entire time. So that was a money saver, in addition to some coins when I, wrote a blog post or did a social media post. So that was a cool experience. And that was another thing that showed me, okay, share your story, because people want to hear it and you can help somebody. So how do I manage my diabetes 10 years later? I am still learning. I am still getting better, but that's what we do in a lot of aspects of our life. We are on a journey. So currently, I'm using my CGM. I inject myself with the pen. I use my app to check my blood. I have to stay within, the goal is to always stay within a certain range. I eat better than I've ever had before. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's because type 1 diabetes, but it's also because I am getting older, and the more you grow, the more you learn. So I'm just learning about eating better and eating, things. And so that actually aids in my living with type 1 diabetes. So, I exercise, but I've always exercised. But now, this at this age, doing more strength training, just started Pilates. I'm always walking, and that helps too, because exercise and walking actually acts as insulin. So yes, walking lowers your blood sugar. So it's like when I walk, I'm getting that benefit of walking, but I'm also lowering my blood sugar. So one thing that's really good for a type 1 diabetic is, like I say, low fat, plant-based if you can. I am not plant-based because a girl's going to want a chicken wing every once in a while, okay? That is just the truth. But I do not eat a lot of meat. I don't eat it often. I just don't eat it often. I don't have a taste for that much meat anymore. And I don't eat a lot of fast food at all. Like, I don't have a taste for that. Over the last year, I've really fallen in love with cooking my own food, because then I know what's in it. I've fallen in love with juicing over the last going on 3 years. Juicing, I love that, because I'll only drink water and sparkling water and a little bit of wine every once in a blue moon, and that's it. So with the juices, like out in the street, I don't drink juices out in the street because of the sugar content and what's in it. So I make my own juices, and I know what's in it. It's just the juice I put in the juicer. So that's just where I'm at now. I feel good, and with how I'm living, as far as diet and exercise, and just having a love for eating healthy, a taste for what's good for me. I take my vitamins, I take my collagen, and I just do all the things so I can age gracefully and be here for my children, and with strength. You know what I mean? With strength. Another thing that I forgot to mention is what comes with diabetes are all the doctor's visits. I talked about the endocrinologist, but when you're a diabetic, you got to go see now you got to get a podiatrist, a foot doctor. You got to go to the eye doctor every 6 months, depending on what's going on. You got to go to just the endocrinologist every 3 months, in addition to your regular checkup. They got to check your system for this, for that, for that. So that was new, just having all these doctor's appointments throughout the year because of your diabetes. So it's like, it's more than just eating. Like, you got to take care of yourself. Like, you have to take care of yourself on another level. One thing that has made my life easier with type 1 diabetes, again, is the CGM, where I don't have to prick my finger anymore, and that technology. And there are other technologies out there that I haven't used, but I am in a type 1 diabetes group for African Americans on Instagram. And that has been helpful, just to have that communication, because I don't meet a lot of African Americans in person that have type 1. I think I've met maybe three, right? In person. Then there's a lot online, but in person, maybe 3. And my daughter's best friend's father has type 1, so he's one of the three. I actually got my last endocrinologist from him, which is a cool thing. He was born with type 1 though, so he's lived with it his whole life, but I've learned some things from him. Got like my last endocrinologist from him. And what I learned, I share, and he shares as well. But that has helped, is having a community of people that have the disease and that can share and bounce things off of one another. Now, I am in a Facebook group for type 1, for everybody on Facebook, but I don't go in there often. I went in there when I first was diagnosed, but oh my God, that group is so depressing, and I can't see all that sad stuff all the time. I mean, I'll peek in there, but too much. Like, no, I need some, I just can't. I just don't want to, and I just can't. How has my mindset evolved over the years that I've had diabetes? Well, my mindset is, for one, I'm a Christian. So I believe in God. And if I believe in God, I have to believe everything that he is able to do. And so I still believe that I can be healed, even though they say there's no cure. So I still speak over my life that I am healed. I was walking today on my daily walk saying, I am healed. I am healed. I am living with this currently, but I am still in anticipation and in faith that God can heal me. I believe it. I receive it. I'm open to being that miracle. I'm open to traveling the world saying, God healed me of type 1 diabetes, because he is able. And until he does, or if he chooses not to, because that is, whatever his will is for my life, I will continue to take care of myself. I will continue to do the things that I know to have the best life I can while living with type 1 diabetes. There's a question on my sheet to talk about what I wish I would have known before I was diagnosed. To be honest, I don't know, because it wasn't like I knew that I did something to cause me to be diagnosed. So it'd be one thing, like if you knew that if you stepped on this thing, it was going to blow up, right? So what would you want to know before you stepped on the thing? To not step on the thing. But I don't even know how I got this disease. So it's like, what could you tell me? Unless it's diet related, maybe I shouldn't eat that, or unless it's stress related. But because I personally don't know what was the trigger, I don't know what I would want to know before I got diagnosed. But I will say what people need to do when they get diagnosed, or what they need to have for us in those endocrinologist offices, is a therapist right away, especially if you're an adult. Now, I don't know if you were born with it in the teen, because you're born with it, but you should have a therapist for those parents that now have to take care of a child with type 1 diabetes. But I would just say a therapist on deck, because if you're depression is going to set in, to talk about the things that you're going to experience, and just like education versus not just, okay, you have type 1, you got to check your blood, and we'll see you in 3 months to check your A1C. No education, no resources. Just, I don't know what they do now for the people that are newly diagnosed, but when I was diagnosed, it was, you are diagnosed, we'll see you in 3 months, check your A1C. And I had to just learn everything on my own. But in the end, it made me stronger, because I now know a lot about the disease. I feel I could talk about it really well. And yeah, if you are currently living with type 1 diabetes, just know that you are not alone. And I hope some way that this, inspired you, motivated you to just keep going. We are in this together. If you are newly diagnosed, if you have any questions, please ask. You have type 1 and you have resources that I don't know, that I didn't share. Please put those in the comment section. If you are in a certain state, check out Blue Circle Health. They are a nonprofit for type 1 diabetics. They are not in every state. They are in Florida. I just recently joined. It is a 6-month program where they will help you with every area of type 1 diabetes for 6 months. They will help you get prescriptions. They will help you talk to an endo. It doesn't replace your endo, but you know how we only see our endo every 3 to 4 months. Well, you could talk to an endo whenever you want during the 6-month period. They have the right to prescribe you things. They give you a therapist. Just anything that you need with your type 1 diabetes, this company helps. I literally just signed up with them 2 weeks ago. I've already had 3 meetings. I have an accountability partner for my A1C, because I'm going to get back in the single digits, reach my goal within 6 months. Talking to an endo tomorrow. Talked to a nutritionist last week. they connected my CGM with and they saw my numbers, and we're working on it. So check them out. Blue Circle Health. Again, they're not in every state, but they might just be in your state. And hopefully that helps you. I invite you to share your experience. How long have you been living with type 1 diabetes? What are your experiences? Did I leave anything out? And yeah, like I said, my prayer for myself is more healthy, happy years and a miracle. I will say they did cure a woman in China of type 1 through a cell transplant. So I'm grateful for her. And I'm just continuing to watch the news to see if they're going to do even more people and how's that going to pan out. Because, yeah, if it can happen for that lady in China, it can happen for us. But I'm still watching to see if they're going to do more people and you know, how it pans out before I get on a plane to China. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. And I'm here. So God bless you all.